Right, with writing, I just want to kind of just give a quick little backstory because, like I said, creativity is a part of everything that you do in life. So even though we're talking up here, I was sitting up here talking about art numbers, which is what you specialize in, you're also creative in other ways. You've also gone out and done other things, and you're also trying to do other things too. So just tell us a little bit more about your creativity before I get into it.
Well, who's the accountant who said that
That's
accountants
me,
are
still.
creative? That's a bit marginal. Obviously, when you've got big companies like Nike and all these companies who don't pay tax, that's an element of creative accounting.
You got you, yes.
What do you want, my background or?
Just a bit about your general creativity. Like, what do you do aside from just the finance side of things? What else is it that you do first of all?
Oh, so I'm a model as well. So I guess that's an element of creativity. Currently working on being a DJ as well. Trying to think what else.
You do stuff, man.
Music, singing, all those things there. Well, I think the main thing is obviously the accounting side. So my background is I've worked as an accountant for about 8 years, specifically within the public sector, within HMRC. So that's kind of my unique selling point when it comes to offering accounting services, the fact that I've worked within the system, and so I'm able to kind of navigate things a lot better than other people might, and know the kind of chips and the loopholes, etc., which people can exploit. So anybody who is looking for accountancy advice, finance advice, taxation advice, obviously I'm going to be here after this talk as well. So, yeah.
So, you started a company called Smart Money Management.
I didn't do.
Would you like to tell people a bit more about that for us?
So me and my business partner, we formed Smart Money Management in 2019. And it started off as a business which was providing financial literacy through the form of online digital content and also face-to-face sessions as well. During that time, I was completing my studies. Now that I'm a chartered accountant, I'm taking it a step further and setting up the business as an accounting practice, where I'll be offering accounting services to small, big, medium-sized businesses, individuals, anybody who needs that type of assistance.
Perfect. Is there anyone that's got any burning questions, just out of curiosity, any questions that you might have surrounding finance in general? Is there any business owners or entrepreneurs in here? Anyone that considers themselves an entrepreneur? Put your hands up. Why are you not very shy? If you're saying that you run a business, put your hand up and say that I run a business, I want to run a business, I'm hoping to run a business. Is there anyone in here that's saying that they run a business?
Opportunity.
Oh, question. Hey?
It's just resonating with what you're talking about because we've recently got self-employed for the singers as well.
Okay.
And trying to deal with the whole tax return thing is stressful. So I'm wondering, is that part of what you do? Do you offer advice around how to go around that and how to be efficient with that?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm glad you mentioned self-assessment. So it's the start of the tax year today. I don't know if anybody knew that. So anybody who is self-employed, this is the first day which any income which you're going to put on your return will start. So the tax year runs from the 6th of April every year to the 5th of April the following year. And the deadline to submit your self-assessment return is the 31st of January. Is anybody self-employed in here? Has everybody submitted their self-assessment return for this year? Who's late?
Is it 2022, 2023, or 2021, 2022?
So, for the 31st of January this year, the return would have been for 2021, 2022. Yeah. Nobody else had it. But yeah, that's definitely something that we can assist with. I've got some business cards, so I can go find you afterwards.
Thank you.
No problem.
No question?
Hiya. I think financial literacy is something so important, and it's something other communities teach their children, and unfortunately, I feel like we're lacking within the black and ethnic minority communities. I have a question that's twofold for you. The first one is, the light's a bit bright, right? The first question is, what are the biggest barriers facing black and ethnic minority communities from financial literacy? And also, what ways can we tackle it, or you would implore people in the room to tackle it?
I think in this current climate, the biggest barrier is ignorance. I think there's enough information out here for people to get. I was speaking to somebody about this. Like, I think in for some of the sectors, like different business sectors, there's a very small minority of Black and Asian people in it, but I don't think finance is one of them. And so if it's a case of where, I don't know, you don't feel comfortable speaking to people outside of your race, there's definitely enough people within that field that you can speak to get advice. There's more than enough information online, and obviously there's always enough professionals to speak to as well. What was the second part of the question, sorry?
What would you implore people in the room to do to like tackle financial illiteracy in that sense?
Engage with an accountant, with a professional, seek advice online. There's loads of like government information as well in regards to deadlines and like reliefs that people can use, etc. There's loads of information out there. It's all about being proactive. The same way you can go and find out where to get the next Yeezys or the next Air Force Ones, like it's the same tool that you can use to find out how to best eliminate your tax liability, etc. So, yeah, be proactive.
That was a big question, but thank you.
Just to touch on like the second part of the question, I think often enough the biggest problem is our community. It's just ignorance, or just the fact that we don't want to be deeper, or we don't want to learn deeper, or we don't want to read that extra bit inside a book, or we don't want to do that extra research and put inside that extra name that might tell us a bit more information about X, Y, and Z. So I feel like if we're just not imploring and if we're not teaching people to be deep and we're following the narrative that's being pushed across to us, we're going to be a hindrance to ourselves because we're choosing not to step forward rather than we not having options to step forward. So that's just my little.
No, I agree, 100%. Yeah, and I think there's probably some type of maybe inferiority complex as well, where we may think that we're not. That's not something that we do, you know. And I think there's been a big shift in that, especially with, let's say, people investing in shares. And there's been a huge increase in what they call retail investors, which is your average Joe who's invested in stocks and shares, etc., using apps like Free Trade, Hard Hands Down, etc., Trading 212. So I think more people are opening up to the idea that the people who the 1%, the wealth creation, and all those things there, that's not for one specific person, it's for everybody. But you just need to go out there and be proactive and link with the right people, search the right information, and ask the right questions.
And without getting too deep as well.
I mean, going deep.
It's not that deep. Has anyone in here heard or watched Hidden Colours? Heard of it?
Yeah.
Go and watch it. Just watch there's multiple documentaries of it. So there's more than just one episode. So you've got multiple episodes that come out from 2015 to 2017, 18, I think. And it tells you a bit. It doesn't go into too much detail, but it tells you a bit about certain things and everything that you might think is, oh, that's a white guy thing. That's a white guy thing. Like, nah, we started that. We did that about 2,000 years ago. Y'all just forgot. And that's literally how it is. And the reason why we forgot is because we ain't reading. Or we ain't taking that extra step to say, hold on, that's what I've been told, but let me go look for myself. So that's another little issue that we need to address. It's just taking that upon ourselves and doing that.
Just off the back of that, there's a guy called Claude Anderson who features in a lot of the Hidden Colours movies. He's got a book called Power Economics. He's an economist, he's a businessman, and he's someone who promotes black people being business savvy and not kind of doing the quote-unquote other stuff, you know what I'm saying? So Claude Anderson, definitely check out his work. And yeah, obviously check out Hidden Colours as well for an overview of everything to do with black, African, Pan-African, the whole shebang.
Just went away from the topic there. But yeah, going back to the finance, what would you best advise someone that is looking to start up their business, trying to explore sort of like their creativity and going out there and setting up a business, but don't actually have sort of like the backing of finance for starting a business per se?
Simple. Find yourself an accountant that you trust and work with them. Have your plan ready. It's always, for me, when I work with clients, it's always good for me to have a client who knows exactly what their end goal is. And obviously, nobody knows exactly where, but you may know exactly where you want to go, but you don't necessarily know how to get there. And that's something that an account can help with and try and advise, well, on the finance side anyway, on the creativity side, whatever it is you're doing, that's obviously going to be your own niche. But the finance side, getting things in place, ensuring you don't fall into any traps with tax and stuff like that. And yeah, seek yourself an accountant.
Perfect. Any questions? Anyone? No questions or comments? Go on. Why not?
Do you think it's good to have more than one accountant?
Depends on the complexity of your business, I guess. If it's a simple business, then it probably makes sense to just have one. But let's say you've got a big business with different arms, then it all depends. It all depends on the complexity. I mean, if you've got a standard accountant, should be able to do all the general things. I think when you've got complex things, and that's when you might want to bring in a niche accountant to kind of handle that specific area.
So, with limited companies and CIC companies, which would you say would be better to have an accountant for them?
What do you mean?
You know, CICs that you get funding for the money.
Yeah.
Some accountants find it very hard to actually establish that money for you. So, what would you say for someone like that who's got a CIC company or a limited company?
Okay, so some accountancy firms, accountancy firms will outline what it is they specialise in. So I'm sure there'll be accountants out there who specialise in setting up CICs and maybe have links with people who provide funding or have gone through that process with the companies which they've been the accountant for. So I guess in that instance, looking for somebody who specialises in CICs or has a vast amount of experience working with CIC companies. Because I do agree with what you're saying. It's something which I've worked with a couple of CICs. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm an expert, especially like on the funding side and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely think that's a good question.
Just have more than one accountant. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. I mean, do you have anything that you'd like to advise anyone on? Is there anything specific? You know, we are working on something for our next show, so I'll tell them about that later.
Not necessarily advice, but just I think for me, if you are someone who's looking to start a business, I'm always happy to offer advice. And so you can contact me on Smart Money Management, which is on Instagram. Website is also on Instagram as well. And yeah, just get in touch and try and assist you and steer you on the right path.
Perfect. Round of applause for Ryan.